It starts with emotional intelligence and self-awareness. And your foundation is everything. Like, where does your mind naturally go to in situations? Where does it automatically go to? Does it go to trying to find solutions? Does it go to something really super negative? And I think you need to be aware of that. If you can really do a good job of being objective with yourself and recognizing how you feel and getting in control of that, I think that's your start. I think most people just are rooted in negativity and pessimism. And that right there is probably the core issue. You become aware of that and learn how to just flip your mindset and learn how to just shift and see possibility and see opportunity, not focusing on the problem, but focus on what we do next. I think if you can get to that point, then that's the initial seed, the initial spark that's going to get you on the right path.
Welcome to the Secrets to Abundant Living podcast. Your guide on this journey is Amy Sylvis, ready to unlock the keys to a life of true abundance. We're diving into everything from financial freedom and optimal health to meaningful relationships, geographic freedom, and everything in between. It's about creating a life rich in experiences, purpose, and joy. Get ready for empowering conversations, expert insights, and real-life stories that inspire you to live abundantly. If you're ready for the secrets to an abundant life, hit that subscribe button now, and let's get started.
Secrets to Abundant Living podcast community. Do I have a treat for you today? We were talking a little bit before we hit record. I'm actually a little nervous, but that's okay, right? We feel the fear and we do it anyway because our guest is so special today. If you all don't know who I am, my name is Amy Sylvis. I am the founder and CEO of Sylvis Capital, and we connect investors to hands-off real estate investment opportunities so that folks can have cash flow and more abundance in their lives. And the Secrets to Abundant Living podcast is all about connecting you all with people who are clearly living an abundant life and getting some insight into, how they live their life, how they structure their life, their beliefs, their mindset. And I just can't wait to introduce you to Marvin Powell III here. Just a quick background on how we met. I actually created a Facebook group called USC Networking and Investing. And our goal, again, is to just give back, give education, and do what we do best as Trojans, which is network and support each other. And Marvin shows up to all of our events. I was just telling him the way he treats people just reflects kind of this abundance mentality that just comes through. But you all are going to be blown away if you don't already recognize his name, which you probably do, but you're going to be blown away at who he is. So Marvin, thank you so much for coming to the podcast. I really appreciate it.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me.
Yes, we love your background. So, if people aren't watching us on video, you should, but he's got a great SC banner emblem behind him. But sir, please tell us a bit more about yourself, if you wouldn't mind.
Yeah, I'm Marvin Powell III. I am a former USC student athlete, played football at USC. I was fortunate enough to play in the NFL as well. I was fortunate enough to get into the land of entrepreneurship, still trying to steer this ship here. I'm the son of a legend. My dad, Marvin Powell Jr., was a two-time All-American at USC, first-round draft pick. He was a five-time Pro Bowl player for the Jets, four-time All-Pro. He was president of the NFL Players Association, who led the NFL through their first player strike, fighting for free agency. And he's a guy who went to law school in the offseason, and he's someone who heavily inspired me. So when you ask me, who am I I got to tell you about the guy before me because he impacted me in so many ways. And just have lived my life trying to meet that standard of greatness. And I'm in the midst of that now and trying to teach my son and my daughter the same.
Well, you are clearly doing that. From everything I see you share on social media, the conversations that we have, I mean, your father's legacy clearly lives on through you. And I have no doubt that your son and daughter will inherit that as well. You do a lot of, you do podcasts, you're no stranger to kind of putting your message out there. And I think that in and of itself stems from this abundance mentality and abundance thinking. Marvin, can you tell us a bit more kind of what abundance means to you, given this great family legacy you have, personal legacy of so many achievements? What does it mean to you?
Yeah, abundance really it's about gratitude. Abundance is realizing that in every situation, you're truly blessed. You really are. And in every situation, there's tremendous opportunity. It takes a level of maturity, I think, to really get to that point. And everybody's process is different. But, abundance is really just about understanding that you have enough where you are right now. And this situation that you're in right now, regardless of what it is, it won't be like this forever, cause you understand that there are opportunities out there, and with the right perspective, you'll be let out of whatever. But it's all about gratitude. It's all about just being thankful and being present in the moment so you can really be thankful of what's there right now.
That is so powerful. Is this something that you've kind of always known inherently? Did this come about through teachings from your family, through your experiences as a college athlete or in the NFL, or where did this come from?
Without question, my attitude came from my dad. My father was an extremely ambitious young man, and he's somebody who really understood that in order for you to have any kind of success or happiness, you have to have the right mindset. You have to have the right mentality. And the foundation of what you have has to be gratitude and love and positivity. And there's an opportunity to see that in every situation, really, if you look deep enough, if you're able to. But without question, my dad just being so ambitious and understanding that you have to have tremendous belief in yourself to have these big goals and big dreams. And, when you put it together, I mean, it's simple. It comes down to a foundation of how to think. And then from there, you're going to always have positive action, because even in situations where, there's difficulty, there's an opportunity there. There's growth in that situation. There's a lesson that you just learned, and that's what I learned, really from my dad, and just watching how he approached all the many things that he achieved and shot for. And just all the conversations we had about, they don't call it, back then they didn't say emotional intelligence, but everything he was teaching me was about emotional intelligence, and just the ability to be aware of how you're thinking, be really aware of how you feel, and constantly be aware of, in spite of how you feel, what do you want to give? What do you want to do? And how do you really want to represent in this moment, So it takes a lot to do that. We started doing it when I was in third grade. In third grade, I went to go live. My parents were divorced. I went to go live from my mom in LA to live with my dad in New York. He was with the Jets at the time. And from that point, I think he really saw some issues with me. And I think he also had a plan in place, which was great. And he just went hardcore at teaching me what's so important about happiness and attitude and gratitude and emotional intelligence. So it came from him.
Isn't that incredible? And, I think you touched on this, but it's easy to think abundantly and have this attitude of gratitude when life is great, right? But there's stuff that life throws at us that we have no control over. It is just part of being human. And how do you show up in those times, right? You mentioned the lessons learned, what can be taken from it. It's almost as though kind of our next level, leveling up as people, doesn't really happen unless we go through this portal of struggle sometimes. And none of us wants life to be like that. No one, I don't wish
Mhm.
struggle on anybody, but my goodness, if it doesn't shape us and form us. And it sounds like your dad had the foresight. I mean, obviously he lived it himself, but to teach, his children, including you, that mindset at such a young age, I can see how that could make you and him and your family just unstoppable.
The thing about, like, most people who struggle, or who have something that's holding them back, what you don't realize is that you've gotten through, 100% of your hardest times, like everything that was so hard when you were, 5, 10, 15, 20 years old, whatever it may be, you're here now. Like, you've gone through that, and you don't recognize that as a win, but that's a win. You survived. You thought it was going to kill you. For me in my life, I've had quite a few near-death experiences. Yeah, when I was in second grade, I was literally kidnapped by a pedophile child molester. Yeah, and that was a horrific 12-hour experience. From there, in college, I had a horrible kidney infection. They thought I was going to kill me. I mean, USC had brought in the priest. They wanted to fly my mom out. Like, they thought I was going to die because of a kidney infection. Obviously, I was able to get through that. And, just in life, like, at the ending of my career, the ending of my football career, that was tough.
Yeah.
It's tough. Those guys go through a very, very low point. But, what you realize is that tomorrow is going to come. What you realize is that, what I realized, what I'm thankful for, is that I was the one who was kidnapped and molested, because if it was one of my friends, a lot of people can't live through that. They can't deal with that kind of stuff. I was in second grade. So, if this happens to one out of every 30 kids or whatever it may be, I'm happy it was me and not someone else because I was strong enough and I was able to get through that. And at the end of the day, it teaches you because, this guy told me he was going to kill me. He put a knife to my throat, literally. So it teaches you to be thankful, that you can get through stuff and that you do get through stuff. And, when you survive those type of situations, you look at life differently, and I'm thankful, as I said, that, like I said, it was me and not my brother or not my neighbor, because that was a tough situation, but it made me tougher. It really did. It made me even more thankful. So, the reality is, what I realize is, even as an adult, as I've gone through, just normal adult life as a married man, as a businessman, at the bottom, I've told myself it's going to be okay. I've been with my wife now 25 years, but it was rocky at first. It was rocky at first. And there was a point where it was like, where are we going with this thing? But, I believed in what was going to happen and we worked out. As an entrepreneur, made so many mistakes. Yet, here I am and, life is good. So I've realized that even when it's really bad, it's going to be okay. And it takes a long time to be able to get to that point where you can have that kind of belief and confidence. But it's really just your mindset. Again, your foundation, you have to be on autopilot that we think positive and we appreciate. And there's so much to appreciate.
Wow, I'm almost speechless. I mean, to say that you're thankful that something as horrific as kidnapping and molestation happened to you instead of someone else, if you take that mindset and extend that to everything else in life, I mean, that makes you unstoppable, right? I mean, my business coach once said to me, once you touch the bottom of the pool, like there's nowhere to go but up. You know that you can sustain, you know that you can overcome one of the most horrific things that's ever happened to you. When the trials and tribulations of life, like you said, being married, inevitable, if people are honest with themselves, it has issues. You're raising children, you're in a high powered career, whether it's the NFL or entrepreneurship, things happen. But if you know within yourself, because of your gratitude, because of what you've been through, as you mentioned, you can say, nothing's killed me so far. I've been through the worst of the worst. I am capable in moving forward and overcoming this. We need to get you on more stages, Marvin. My goodness, this is incredible. How
It's all,
do you go ahead?
no, it's all good. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So how do you instill this in your children? Because I'm imagining, I've seen a few things on social media about how you educate your kids and some of the resources that you use, but imparting this wisdom on the next generation, giving them this leg up of mindset and really how to handle life. I'd love to hear more about what that looks like, if you don't mind sharing.
Yeah. So, I mean, obviously, like I said, my dad had a plan for me. It was obvious.
Yeah.
And it really came down to leadership and the pillars of leadership and the many opportunities in real time, in real life to take the different pillars, whether it's integrity, honesty, whatever it may be, hard work, ambition. There are always opportunities in real life with these kids to attach a moment to one of the pillars. You know what I mean? So with my kids, it's been about leadership. The first question I ask my kids every single day when they come home from school is, who did you help today? The first question I ask is, who did you help today? Because there are so when you understand leadership and you understand servitude, then that same person definitely understands gratitude. And for as much as we're here and we're focused and we have blinders on, we also understand that we're here to impact people. We're not just here to be robots, and we're human beings.
Yeah.
And we've been surrounded by people, and there's always an opportunity to show gratitude. There's always an opportunity to show encouragement, whether it's a pat on the back or, hey, better luck next time, or, hey, great shoes, or whatever it may be. There's always an opportunity to give genuine love to people. So
Yeah.
we focus on that. We focus on the opportunity to impact others when it's just so simple and right in front of us. With that, I mean, I'm just trying to teach these kids leadership, focusing on, as I said, focusing on all different pillars. We don't want to be good. Good is everybody's good. We want to be great. We want to be the greatest. We want to be the GOAT. Good is average. When someone tells you that you're good, they'll take a good job, that they're telling you work harder. It's a whole situation, but I'm trying to
Yeah.
be a champion. That's at the end of the day. And for me and my kids, I just, I'm always asking them, is that leadership? Whatever they're doing, good or bad, is that leadership? Is that having a positive impact on somebody? So I'm on them 24/7, and it's so far so good.
I'm imagining what the United States would be like if every parent asked their child, who did you help today? Your definition of greatness, I mean, I'm positive it involves their personal actions and achievements, but centering that around how they affect positively other people,
Mhm.
that's a next level, right? That's not just yourself, that's other people and the ripples that come from that. And that is such a different mindset and shift than what I hear a lot of other parents, or maybe even society in general, focusing on, right? Because American culture
Right.
is me, right?
The second question I asked him did you have a good day or a great day? And what we realized is that if you woke up that morning, if God woke you up, then it's automatically a good day, no matter what. And if you had an opportunity to help somebody today and impact somebody, then it's a great day. So it's about perspective. It's about perspective and how you see, what's in front of you and how you see the events unfolding and how you see opportunity to be great to help. Who did you help? And was it a good day or a great day? Those are the first two questions I ask every single day. And we've been doing that for years.
And how old are they again? Can you remind me?
Yeah. So my daughter, Morgan, is 13 in the eighth grade, volleyball student athlete, volleyball player, a future entrepreneur. My son, Marv, he is 9. He is in the fourth grade, next Kobe Bryant, next LeBron James, if you ask him.
Let's go.
Yeah. Yeah. So they're still relatively young. They're growing
Right.
fast though. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Well, I'm sure I speak for our entire audience. I can't wait to follow these kids and see the great things that they do in life. You are setting them up for success, not just for themselves, but for how they impact others in the community around them. That is so inspiring.
We're trying. Thank you.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Margaret, I would imagine you and I shared my health struggles. Our audience knows I live with cystic fibrosis, so I've never been a big athlete myself. But I would imagine as successful as you were in college football, in NFL, and then having to transition into another career after that area of your life and that career was over was probably really sad, really difficult. I don't want to put words in your mouth, but I'd love to hear kind of how your mindset served you as you made that transition into the great things that you're doing now. Would you mind sharing a bit more?
Yeah. So, without question, I always tell my wife, USC football is my first love, but she and my kids are my greatest love, without question. My dad was an ambitious guy. I saw my dad as a student, as a law student. I saw him as an NFL player. I saw him as the player's rep. I saw him have his own column with the Wall Street Journal, and I saw him wear many different hats in different areas. So the idea of, doing more than football wasn't foreign to me. I already had a plan. I knew in fourth grade what I wanted to do, for the next 15 years. I had goals set up and I hit them all. So now I'm working on new goals right now. But it was hard leaving football, or it was hard having football leave me. And it went both ways.
Yeah.
That's tough when you identify yourself as a football player since third grade, when everyone knows you was that. And you love being that. You love that life.
Yeah.
So when you're done with that, it's a hard breakup. For the guys who are really invested emotionally and who put the time in, who put the work in, who sacrificed, it's hard to walk away without question. But I was also excited about what was coming next. I was excited about at that time the possibility of, do I want to go to law school? Do I want to go ahead and get into some type of business? Do I want to do this or do that? I had many different things I wanted to do. And I was excited about that, but absolutely leaving football was just heartbreaking. Because when I was a kid, I slept with my football. I was the kid in middle school who slept in full pads the night before the game. I was the kid, because my dad was an NFL agent, I had access to a lot of information from the combine. Most kids in fifth grade didn't know what the combine was. It wasn't even on TV back then.
Yeah.
So I was the kid, super paranoid, night sweats in middle school, high school. Am I going to make it? Am I going to get there? Because it was such a big deal to me. But that's what passion is. That's what passion looks like sometimes. You know what I mean? That's what commitment looks like sometimes. That's what it looks like when people say, I'm 2 feet in. It's different in different situations. But for me, I was as all in as you can get. So yeah, walking away from football was tough. Having an injury was tough, but it was also on me because I was the kid who knew all the traps. My dad told me what was coming. And that first year after playing for the Saints, I went back to LA, got an apartment in the Hollywood Hills, had a nice car, and I'm partying. I'm partying like I'm Tom Brady. I just finished my first year as an undrafted free agent, and I'm out
Wow.
there, just doing what young men do.
Yeah.
And so a lot of that's on me. A lot of it's on me because I was not definitely in the best shape that I could have going into my second season. But anyway, it
Yeah.
was tough, but life goes on, and I definitely had other goals.
Well, it sounds like that's the key, right? Is having other goals and seeing maybe what's coming, right? Not just the next
Mhm.
thing, but having that vision, maybe several steps ahead. Those maybe plan B, plan C,
Mhm.
contingency, surrounding yourself with other people like your dad that could help guide you, whether you listen or not.
Yeah.
I'm just teasing. And then having excitement for what's next. I picked up you saying that too, of again, it's that attitude, that choice of, are we going to be bummed out? Of course. We can be bummed out, we can be sad, and holding space also at the same time for the possibility of what's next and what that could bring as well. That makes a lot of sense.
Thank you. Yeah.
Yeah. And, what a lot of folks that I talk to that listen to this podcast are, they were told by society, go to school, get a good job, climb the corporate ladder. They're finding themselves in midlife, not having a lot of time for their friends and family, their hobbies, to take care of their health. And they're really questioning, is this really where I want to be? They may be thinking about transitioning into something that fits more of an abundant lifestyle, or maybe even AI coming down the pike that may disrupt kind of their employment and, having to transition. So it's just helpful to hear, how you've been able to successfully do that when, yeah, that's kind of a transition most of us will never have to go through, but can really learn from your success in that area. Have you ever thought about having multiple streams of income? Instead of relying on just one stream of income where you're trading your time for money, how would you like to free up more of your time and live a more abundant life? As a listener of the show, you're invited to attend one of our upcoming trainings where I'll give you an inside look into how you can add passive income and get all the other perks of recession-resistant real estate investing without the headaches of being a landlord. I'll also be sharing some hidden mistakes to avoid and the criteria I personally look for when evaluating potential investment opportunities. To reserve your seat for free, go to sylviscapital.com/webinar. Again, that special link to reserve your seat for free is sylviscapital.com/webinar. I look forward to seeing you on the training. And now back to the show.
Absolutely. No, listen, I look at, I was the kid who I lived football as a kid. I was a football nut. I was just out there like that. I loved it. It was my everything.
I love it.
And with all that, and I'm just so thankful to be able to say that, I'm in the John Madden video game. I'm in a few video games.
So cool.
There's an official team photo, NFL team photo with me in it that I had trading cards. Like, if you would have told me in third grade, hey, Marv, you can go to NFL, short career, this is what it's going to be, I would have jumped all over that. It breaks my heart I didn't make it to the Hall of Fame. I'm not going to lie, it does. Because I feel like me and Tom Brady, we swapped careers. His career is supposed to be my career. You know what I mean? But
Tell them.
yeah, but really just thankful that I made it. I just so thankful for that. And I wish I worked harder. I didn't make so many young mistakes, but I made it. You know what I'm
You
saying? And
did.
that's a big deal to me. I take that with me, and I'm just really thankful for that. And the reality is, the confidence that I had in accomplishing my goals and my dreams, starting from a young age, really just propelled me into the future. And now it's kind of like, what can't I do? And it's a situation where, even right now, I'm somewhere at a fork in the road trying to figure out which path I'm going to really take. Because I don't see fear of failure. It's just, what do I really want to do? How can I have the greatest impact in the ways that matter to me and that matter to my family? So, having that success early, middle school, high school, college, accomplishing the goal, went to NFL, it became a springboard,
Yes.
and I'm thankful for the idea that I'm happy that I actually have gone into entrepreneurship. I've had success, I've had failure, I've had success and failure again. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
but I'm encouraged, by what I've learned, and I'm happy I started when I did, and just learning lessons, just learning a lot of lessons, and I'm thankful for that, and it's all good. And I have every desire to be where you're at and beyond. No, I'm serious. I told you I have tremendous respect for what you and your husband have done. But no, I have NFL dreams, with this business life. I do. I want to get to the highest level. You know, how I want to get there is the question right now.
I love it. Well, and just as you talk, I think about all the possibilities, right? I hear possibilities, and the choice is really yours because you have the skills that it took to play USC football, to get to the NFL and to succeed, right? Those exact skills will serve you tremendously well in whatever field you decide to go into. So That's what excites me about hearing your story. And, you mentioned you're a fork in the road.
Mhm.
Wow. And you're not afraid of failure. The whole world is your oyster. I mean, that's the great news with that mindset.
Amy, the only opportunity out here. I
Yeah.
mean that. If there's
Yeah.
only opportunity. I mean, when you look at the most successful people out there, people who we admire, who you admire, I
Mhm.
mean, that mentality, you know what I'm saying? Like there's only opportunity. That's all I see, So I'm trying to
Yeah.
figure out, do I want to do, MP3 on the mic and be the next great podcaster, Stephen A. Smith, hot taker? We'll see. Obviously, I'm just learning from you and I've
Oh,
known real estate is something that we should all take very serious without question. But all I see is opportunity, and I'm really excited about what's coming up next.
so exciting. I don't know if you saw one of our former podcast guests, Max Brown, who did his, college career didn't go as well as a USC quarterback and they transferred to Pitt and as well as he wanted. He's now just been signed by ESPN to be a commentator. I know that's been a dream of his. And it's just so neat to see what persistence and even when you have to, make a pivot that's unexpected, what that can bring to you. So I'm excited to follow your next steps.
Thank you.
As we kind of wrap this up, I talk to some folks who watch the news, they see inflation. They see maybe some things in politics that are terrifying them. They're seeing, AI maybe taking jobs. They're concerned about the world that their children are going to inherit. And they're really having a hard time kind of getting themselves out of this ditch of doom and gloom. And it's not to say that those things don't exist, but I'd love to hear if you were to counsel, some of our listeners, if they're kind of really seeing that life is really tough and they're not quite sure how to shift their mindset into abundance thinking like you, what advice would you give them?
I think really a lot of it starts with emotional intelligence and self-awareness. And again, your foundation is everything. Like, where does your mind naturally go to in
Mhm.
situations? Where does it automatically go to? Does it go to trying to find solutions? Does it go to, oh my, something really super negative? And I think you need to be aware of that, and I think if you can really do a good job of being objective with yourself and recognizing how you feel and getting in control of that, I think that's your start. I think most people just are rooted in negativity and pessimism. And that right there is part of the core issue.
Yeah.
You become aware of that and learn how to just flip your mindset and learn how to just shift and see possibility and see opportunity, not focusing on the problem, but focus on what we do next. I think if you can get to that point, then that's the initial seed, the initial spark that's going to get you on the right path.
Yes. Oh, powerful. So what I heard you say is that awareness, because a lot of us are just running around not even realizing what's going on in
Right.
our heads. And then understanding that next step to really take control, whether it's action or shifting our brain. And that can really propel us into that more abundance and positive mindset. That's great.
Yeah. Emotionally, most people jump off the bridge, mentally when they have something happens, right? It's like
Yeah.
that's their initial response. They're attracted to like anxiety and negativity. And
Yeah.
they're so used to it that they don't realize that they're on autopilot. You know what I mean?
Right.
You
Yeah.
got to get off of that. So,
Yeah. Yeah. Let's do it. I've been guilty of that myself and it takes work. I think some people think, oh, if you're a positive person, it just kind of happens. Nope. No, our lizard brain is really trying to protect us from danger. So we really need to work on that skill and develop that muscle,
mhm,
as it were, to get to that space.
mhm.
Marvin, this has been so special. Thank you again for taking time out of your busy life to join us today and share your wisdom. It really, I'm so impressed by you.
I appreciate you, Amy. I enjoyed it and I look forward to doing it again. You may need or want.
Thank you. I'm sure folks are going to want to reach out to you. Where's the best place for them to get in touch with you and talk to you?
This is going to change. Right now, I'm only on Facebook. That's it. I have nothing else but Facebook.
Oh,
Marvin Powell III, and you'll see more social media as I get my podcast going.
little hint about the podcast.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Well, we'll update our show notes when you launch that podcast to make sure that folks know about that. Maybe by the time this launches, the podcast will be out. So amazing. Just incredible. Thank you again for sharing your story and for the little moments that I've seen, in terms of you encouraging other people and showing people that they're worth it, that you appreciate them. It just really speaks to your character. And I want to be more like you. So thank you again, my friend.
Thanks, Amy. I appreciate you, girl.
Fight on.
All right, fight on.
Thank you for joining us on another episode of the Secrets to Abundant Living podcast. We hope you found inspiration and valuable insights that will empower you on your journey towards abundance. If you enjoyed today's episode, don't forget to subscribe, rate, and leave a review. Your feedback means the world to us, and it helps others discover the secrets to an abundant life too. Stay connected with us on LinkedIn, Amy Sylvis. Keep striving for your goals, nurturing your relationships, and embracing the adventure that is life. Until next time, we wish you an abundantly fulfilling day.